Damn guys, what's going on? Welcome back to York City. It's been a very time since we last met. We immediately followed up the 1-0 loss to Lincoln. Considering their quality, unsurprising, more annoying were the injuries, of course, where they took out our two best players. So, thank you, Lincoln, for that one. We followed it up with a bizarre game against Plymouth, where our next best player, Ebersbach, strictly speaking on paper, was then injured. Not for long, thankfully, but we were getting a little bit thin on wingers at that point. I mean, again, we had the better of the game. They scored a cross, is the only way to put it. They scored a cross. It's one of those games. They happen. Never mind. 1-0 against Man City under 23s puts us in a good position in the EFL trophy table thing. There is something I do need to bring up about this match, though. Yeah, they had a man sent off. They did have to play with 10 men, but one of those men was Jadon Sancho. I'm not sure how this was allowed. Technically, he's 23, so I guess that's probably why. But we had to play a match against Jadon Sancho. And we won. They didn't really need anyone else on their team, to be honest, at that point. They actually had a player that I tried to get in on loan, which was Tommy Doyle. Who was pretty good, as you can see. I tried to get him on loan. No matter what I tried. It was really weird. I offered them what they wanted, and then they changed what they wanted. So we ended up not getting him. Of course, that's the spot that went to Sabaro in the end. But Jadon Sancho, how we won that one, even when they had 10 men, no idea. He could just run through our entire team if he wanted to, but he didn't somehow. So I'm taking that as a victory in its own right, even though obviously there was a victory in general anyway. Rotherham 3-0, great performance, most realistically. Rotherham, of course, a League One Championship bouncer. 3 goals in the first half an hour. Lopez with 2 of them. Starting to think that he was the right choice to put up front. There's a new option developing, and I can't do anything about it for a little while, but I'll get to that shortly. Oxford 0-0 away from home. Good on paper, bad in reality. We had 22 shots, only 4 on target. Back to the drawing board there, folks, and chance conversion training is due as a result. But, yeah, still, it's a good point away from home. Oxford, of course, recently relegated for 3 years in the Championship, so I will take that. And 1-1 at home at Exeter. A bit disappointing, actually, this one. Again, not really. This all came back into it towards the end. This was looking far more dominant earlier on, let's just say. That was, of course, their first shot on target, and it was their only shot on target, I think, until late into the second half. So I was going to get annoyed, and then they sort of came into it the last half an hour or so. Portsmouth, though, still first. We play them away from home. And then Barnsley, who, if I remember rightly, Portsmouth and Barnsley were the 2 teams that came up with us when I was manager of Bradford in my previous stream save. So this is a weird little trip of nostalgia in the end. Those 2 draws and the loss scores to Plymouth with those 2 wins do keep us in the hunt. We are 4 points clear of Walsall in 7th, who are still having a very good season with the help of Migueles. I highlighted him last time. He's ridiculous right now. Gardner Hickman's still on top of this, despite being injured. Yeah, we are now behind Lincoln. They are occupying the top 2 with Portsmouth, who have actually lost a game. Last county, but they have lost a game. Still got a game in hand, though, as do Oxford, of course, behind us, and MK Dons. MK Dons, goal difference-wise, way behind us, so they can't leapfrog us with a win either way. But, yeah, so we can drop down to 3rd if Oxford win their game in hand, but still, a little bit of a buffer in terms of playoffs. But still going well, basically, is the point. Season preview-wise, still there, still around it. Bokin's back in at left-back. All I can say on that one. Now, the good news for this is some players are back, but some players are now injured again. So, awkward on that front. Nasel's taken a little knock recently, and has Ebersbach. This is a separate injury to the one that I was highlighted to earlier. Yes, it's a bit awkward on that one. We're sticking with Lopez for the time being up front just because he has scored goals, basically. I kind of want to give Hugh King a go, but with Nassel being out and the players that are out are kind of awkward for the homegrown contingent, so I do kind of need to have one on the pitch and one on the bench at bare minimum. I've got 2 on the bench. Maralonga's on the bench just because we've run out of wingers. Actually, no, DK does go on the bench because he can take over Illich's spot, sort of, and then I can put him on right-hand side if I need to. That was my thinking for Maralonga because I could always bring Gonsalves in on the right if I wanted to. Maralonga can do the left-hand side, all right. By the way, the potential future answer to the striker position, Lloyd South. Of course, one of our new gens a few years ago now. Actually, probably might have been the first batch. Now I look at that, but Didn't really expect him to tear too much up, but he has developed very wonderfully out on loan. So he has sort of come out a little bit from nowhere, thanks to these year and a half at this point at Solihull Moors. He has developed incredibly well, and is now technically our best striker, and he's on loan. Can't recall until January though is the problem. So we have to persevere with what we've got so far. I suspect either Robertson or Hugh King, probably backup wise. You look at their potentials, you suspect one of these two should be the backup. And looking at Hugh King as a player in particular, and then comparing him with Lloyd South, there's a lot of similarities really. In terms of actual technicals, he does have the edge on him in the top end of things. But then this sort of bit that the passing and then sort of defensive and other things that don't really matter too much. South's got a little bit of the advantage of some of the mentals. South has got a bit of an advantage on, but some of them it's a bit 50-50. And then physically, South has a little bit of an edge on him there. So I would argue South versus King should be second. But I can't do any of that till January. So for the time being, Lopez is up front just because we need a homegrown player. Really want anything at this point. The injuries, as mentioned already. So the team for Portsmouth away at Fratton Park. Of course, they're having a lot of fun at the time being. So Portsmouth supporters should be enjoying this season. Dutra, Vokins, Borges, Edgar, Clark. In defence, Dean, Illich and Sabara in the middle. Genie and Lee Tao on those wings. He's fit for 75 minutes. I might have to play him for the entire match just because we don't really have a replacement other than Illich. Lopez up front, as mentioned. But it's good to have Lee Tao back, and this is why I didn't do the injections in the last episode, basically, because I was hoping to be back for this one, and he just about is. So 75 minutes, the very least, of Lee Tao. Depending on how he's doing, we'll leave him out there, potentially. But it's very, very good to have him back. I wish I had Gardner Hickman around, but they are looking a little bit tired. I do wonder if they've played midweek or something, then we haven't. Because they do keep getting games in hand for whatever reason. I presume cup commitments. Or they just end up being on the opposite end of other players, other teams' cup commitments. For some reason, Oxford are still in the Carabao. I know that one for certain. But others, not sure. I mean, so far, this first half has provided nothing for the first 38 minutes. And now we've got something. So here we are. It's them that are on the front edge here. But Edgar, not really ball playing particularly well there. Rodrigo heads it left of Okins, who hoofs it up the pitch to no one in particular. Evans gathers. Lopez will hunt him down a little bit, but Vokins will get on the end of whatever that was. Gets dispossessed. That was a little bit weird in 2D. Might have been weird in reality, but digital reality. Close. Outwards. Clark's under that one. Gives it to Lee Tao on this side here. This is a very long build-up for what looks to be... now it's gone wide for Lopez. I don't think he's the one with the chance here. Okay, maybe still something chance here. No, not quite. He's gone very wide angle. That was the chance. Welcome back. Wide angle highlights. Welcome back. In fairness, I'm saying that as if they've returned in force. They've not. That's not something that's back after this new patch or anything like that. Don't worry. But you still get them every now and then. Normally when I'm recording. Not had any more penalties, by the way. So I can't really confirm or deny whether or not they are now too easy to score after being too hard to score. 19. I still can't get over that 19 in a row penalty shootout. Not even like we missed 2 equally at one point. It was 19 scored and then a miss. Lincoln have gone top, of course, because we're holding Portsmouth as things stand. Edgar has put Lopez through here, I think. Yeah, 31 doesn't get on the end of that one. Lopez charges onto that. Genie's not there in time. Between Ebersbach and Genie, I do not know who is the worst shooter, to be honest. I've never known players to be so particularly brilliant at missing the target from close range as Genie and Ebersbach. The pair of them, it's remarkable how good the chances are that they're missing constantly. Lee Tao, though, now is back in the team, of course. Charging forward a little bit here. Not quite. Genie's over here. And, well, clearly he's listening. No. I mean, that's not the kind of chance that they're missing, in fairness. It's the ones where you're about 3 yards out and they've just decided to head it against the crossbar or something like that. They're the ones I'm talking about. The ones that Taylor Hickman has been banging in before he got injured, basically. Those ones. Lee Tao, though, back to his usual assisting, and I mean, that's the best thing I've ever seen from Genie in a year and a half, so congratulations, mate. Welcome back. Stake a claim for that left-hand side. That's what you need to be doing, Genie. Staking a claim for that left-hand side while Hickman's injured. But 60 minutes plus are racing by. They've not had a shot on target. The team that are top did say 75 minutes for Lee Tao. So just going to do a bit of some jiggery pokery. Actually, I'm going to see how... Oh, that didn't go well. Yeah, we'll do it like that, I think. So I'm not going to do anything. Lopez, not seen a huge amount from. I am going to give the players who have a little bit more potential the benefit of the doubt, I think, going forward. Dan Morgan had a wonderful year last year, but this year, not really turned up. I think Mato Yayalo, whatever you're supposed to pronounce it, I think he might feature later on. He might be the third change at some point later. Well, his expert slide tackle, it's gone out for a corner. Meanwhile, Lincoln have just decided to tear through Barnsley. They've scored like 3 in... Oh, it's 15 minutes, but they've all popped up one after the other. Made it look a little bit more dramatic than it was. But yeah, we'll just bring the experience on just to seal this one out. Hopefully. Honestly, I think he might be one of the best signings I've ever done. And, well, it was pretty highlightless, but we have pulled a bit of an upset off here. Portsmouth 0, York 1. I actually say, people had written us off today. Well done on a great result. And it's Genie of all people to get it. Finally, a bit of magic. Oh, Barnsley got 2 back, but still. They are languishing down in 19th, though. Ipswich in the relegation spots. There's a bit of surprises at the bottom end right now. I have to say, Sunderland have come back into it a little bit. They've gone up the table. But, yeah, it's... I mean, considering they were just relegated last year again. Just double-checking they were... Yeah, so they were in League 2 in last year's game. Therefore, I'm pretty certain they were the ones that came up with us in second with the Bradford save. And then Portsmouth came up via playoffs. I'm pretty certain that's what happened. But yeah, they've spent 3 years on there. Or 4 years, I suppose, and then got relegated. Ouch. So... interesting that they're doing so badly this year. Don't forget, they were our senior affiliate, and we're now 15 points ahead of them at this stage of the season. And for the first time, I feel like, in history, I'm praising Genie after a match. And that, of course, puts Lincoln top as well, so could be looking at an immediate return to the Championship from Lincoln, provided they hold on to things. League, like I said last time, League One's an interesting one, because there's teams that you expect should be at the top. Hang on, I just noticed that. John Terry unveiled his new Shrewsbury manager. That just snuck through there. But yeah, League One's a weird one because if the teams that you expect to get promoted then have a bad season, you end up with teams that either really could be either in League One or League Two end up getting promoted way before they're probably ready to be able to survive the Championship, and then they just immediately come straight back down, but they get the benefit of being in the Championship very briefly. And then they suddenly become one of those teams challenging, like Lincoln, for instance, now. But of course, against Barnsley, we'll have a couple of those injured players back at full. Lee Tao will probably be able to play the full match. Nacelle will be back. Well, Borges is out for a week. So we'll miss Barnsley, but that's it. I think he'll be back for the one after. Oxford knocked out. Fleetwood knocked out. They must have been promoted. See, this is what I mean. Like teams like Fleetwood, of course. Probably argue a team like Fleetwood is one that I would say is a League One team. Especially if they've been in there for quite a long while now. They're one of the few teams I would say is definitely a League One team, where they've been promoted from 6th, of course, last year. Probably a little bit before they're capable of surviving the Championship. They are 24th, unsurprisingly. Though, only 3 points off being out of that bottom 3, so, you know, welcome John Terry to the division. Richie Dean has been developing quite nicely, just silently in the background. Everything's on an upward tick, pretty much. Off the ball, arguably, probably still the only thing that's a little bit out. But off the ball's the more attacking mental trait, isn't it? Anticipation is the defensive one, which is very good. Now, I do wonder if this Shrewsbury first match for John Terry in charge, but I do wonder if this Shrewsbury game at the bottom here is the reason for Portsmouth's game in hand. I wonder if that's who they have it against, and that's why they've got an extra game to play. Robertson out for 3 days, so he'll miss this one, but back for the next. Yeah, so I think part of the problem we have right now is all of our strikers right now are regarded as League Two strikers. No matter how well they played in that division, of course, Lopez unstoppable the year before last, Dan Morgan unstoppable last year. This is a new division. These are harder sides in general. Just to mention, Dutra also developing as well. Player that we said had plenty of potential. Still, oh, now it says Premier Division again. The report said Championship. His actual page says Premier Division. It's very confusing. I suspect he's on the borderline somewhere. They just can't make his mind up. I did say when we signed him that it said Premier Division when we signed him, and then when I showed you him, it said Championship, but now it's back to Premier Division. There we go. But yeah, developing very nicely, and that's the reason why we play him. I do feel sorry for Ted. He's done nothing wrong, really, except let 3 goals in. So, of course, whilst Gardner Hickman is still injured, we are down a homegrown player, which is part of the issue I'm having in the striking front. Of course, with Lloyd South coming back in, he'll be homegrown, not only homegrown nation, but homegrown club as well, if in case Clark ever takes an injury again. We'll be covered on that front. But with him being a man down, it does make things a little bit awkward in terms of being able to put non-homegrown players on the bench. But we will make do with what we've got so far, with Vokins, Edgar, Sergi in the right-hand side, with Borges taking a bit of a knock. He is also a right-back option, so that's why I bobbed him on the right-hand side. Clark at the right back. Everyone's nice and fit. Dean, Nacelle is back in the team, of course. Sabara with him in midfield. Genie and Lee Tao, still 75 minutes despite having another week of rest. It was a fairly long injury, I suppose, so fairly long recovery period, I guess. Lopez still up front because I'm not 100% certain if you've seen Sergi in action yet. We've been on a good run lately. I just realised we're at home, so a bit more assertive in my team talk, I think, for this one. There we are. Now, off we go again. So, Barnsley in the white, us in the red and blue icons. Sabara is there, and Sabara's smashed the bar. Great. There is definitely a Sir Bar pun there somewhere, but it's abandoned me in the moment, and I'm not going to make it. So, there we go. 3 shots in the first few seconds there, and all of them hit the bar or miss. So, good. Genie now takes over this ball. Nacelle back out was to Vokins, who's been very good for us, of course, as you might expect. Not the best of shots. See, Lincoln have already taken a lead somewhere against Plymouth. Oh, Coventry has snuck up into 4th behind us. Lopez, though, has got this ball from a throw-in. He's whipped that in quite nicely across to Genie, who has managed to head over from there. Like, I'd understand if he'd headed wide, but over. Now, last time I was in this division, Callum Woodrow destroyed it. So far, he's on a 6.3, and they've not had a single shot. 4 shots on target, though. Can we please have a little bit more on target? That would be nice. That didn't go well. You have the ability to make a real difference. All of you have the ability to make a real difference. Corner. Nacelle. Now, they keep asking me to take Nacelle off corners, but there's a reason why he's on them is because he doesn't normally actually put it into the box. Lee Tao, however, has charged inwards here, and well, we're seeing that a lot. Just dawned on me they're playing a narrow formation, so we'll play wider. Now, Nacelle's taken another small injury. It's a bruised ankle. We can sort of play through that. But his condition has stayed quite low, so on comes Illich in his spot. Genie's not doing too particularly well so far today either, so Eber's back on that left-hand side. And continue we go. Now, Xiaonan is someone who can play left wing. I've completely forgotten to sort of consider that going forwards, but he does have the ability, and he is strong on the right foot, so this is a 0-0. This is going to end 0-0, isn't it? You know what? I think I'm actually going to do that because Lee Tao's still only on 75 minutes, so I've actually played him 10 minutes more than I should have. I think I'm actually going to bring Xiaonan as an inside forward up front. I don't think he's particularly brilliant on his forward stats, but I did need to take Lee Tao off. Xiao is there, and Xiao has had a shot, at the very least, on target, which is more than I can say for a lot of my team. Oh, Primo, by the way, you can see that on the top left side, went to Rotherham. I did try to sign him, but his wage demands were far too much. It's a 0-0. It's not the most thrilling of episodes, I will admit that one. Yeah, he's as competent as left wing as he is right back, so going forward, not brilliant, 8.89s, but fine. I just noticed he has edged Price Towel in the overall ratings now. But with a draw, we do go second. What happened with Portsmouth? Oh, they've lost. Curious. Well, they still got a game in hand, so they can still leapfrog us. Looks like Oxford have lost at some point, today in fact, to Coventry. So their game in hand is no longer relevant immediately anyway. And MK Don still got a game in hand, but their goal difference is still way worse, so they can't leapfrog us with a win. So it's only Portsmouth that can go back ahead. The worst come scenario at this point is third still. I need to stop being surprised at where we are, because we're in the shout. I feel like we're way ahead of schedule, but according to the team as a whole, we should be up here. Stop being as surprised as you are. Now, we have drawn Woking, which is a very curious draw, considering because we played them way back when, in a cup. I can't remember when, of course, in the same division at some point too. But it's been a few years since we faced off against them. FA Trophy second round, that was it. And we lost to them then. But when we played them in the Vanarama National properly, we were unbeaten against them. Now, of course, this is a few years on, and we're League One. And they're still there. So I did wonder if it would be an interesting game to bring you. For the same time, I'm also looking at MK Dons and Ipswich here. Because MK Dons are a team that are up there right now, and Ipswich are a team who I don't think have actually managed to escape League One at any point. No, they haven't. They've been in and around the playoffs every year, missing out a couple of times. Got in them the year before last and didn't get promoted. So kind of surprising, a little bit, I suppose. Though they've not completely escaped at any point. And they're having a terrible season so far, so might be an interesting one to bring you. Not quite sure at what point the second round pops in. I'd suspect it's in December, early on. So it might be a case of MK Dons and that, or Ipswich and that, or whatever. We'll find out what happens, provided we get past Woking, of course. But don't want to get too complacent on that front. Oh, I don't know if I brought you this, but the expansion was done a little while back. I can't remember if that was in an episode or not, so I'm just going to say it. It has been done. We're now at 9,300 and we're still selling it out. So, well, hey. 5 unbeaten, actually, by the way, at this point. So, yeah, it'll be the early December. Whatever games they are, I'll let you know then, I guess. So, until then, have a great weekend. Ta-ra.